Hello, welcome to Sports World Have Your Say with me, Amanda Davis. Well, the English Premier League, where teams aren't backward about coming forwards. There've been goals galore, 35 in the 9 games this weekend. Have you got any idea why?
Well, it's a great win to come here and score 5 goals. It's absolutely amazing.
A red card for racism off the pitch, but why does it seem to be a growing problem amongst the players themselves? And fantastic, just how involved should supporters be in their club? Yep, we've got Blackburn's Jason Roberts in the studio with us this week, waiting to speak to you. Please do get in touch. The team are ready and waiting to take your calls on the usual number, country code 44 2070 83 73 33. They're also standing by on Twitter and Facebook as well. All the details on the side of your screen there. But before we go any further, let's get a summary of the latest news. Hello, I'm Karen Giannoni with the latest from the BBC World Newsroom. An independent tribunal in Australia has ordered airline workers at Qantas to end a strike, which led management to ground all its flights worldwide. The chief executive of Qantas said it might be able to resume a limited flight schedule by Monday afternoon. Nearly 70,000 passengers around the world have been affected by the shutdown. Well, the government's Assistant Treasurer Bill Shorten said he was glad that common sense, he said, had prevailed.
We're very conscious that there are tens of thousands of travellers who've been stranded throughout Australia and the rest of the world. We're conscious that there are people who can't get to work or people who can't get back to their families. We're conscious that the Australian economy has been put at the risk of great damage in our mining sector and our tourism sector. We believe that this industrial action by Qantas and unions needed to come to a halt.
The US is reported to be drawing up plans to increase its military presence in the Gulf after the final withdrawal of troops from Iraq later this year. The New York Times says Washington is negotiating with Kuwait to station a standby force there. The paper says that the Pentagon had hoped to keep as many as 20,000 troops in Iraq beyond the end of this year. One Palestinian has been killed and another injured in a new Israeli airstrike in Gaza near the southern border city of Rafah. His death brings the total number of Palestinian militants killed by Israel in the last 2 days to 10. One Israeli was killed in a rocket attack on the town of Ashkelon. The latest airstrike comes as a truce brokered by Egypt appeared to be collapsing. At least 9 people have been killed and 50 wounded in an air raid in southern Somalia. The attack occurred in Jilib, an area controlled by Al-Shabaab militants. An Al-Shabaab spokesman said the planes belonged to the Kenyan armed forces. Voting has ended in the presidential election in Kyrgyzstan. It's the first such poll since President Kurmanbek Bakiev was overthrown 18 months ago, prompting a wave of communal violence. 16 candidates are standing in the election, but the current president, Rosa Otunbayeva, is not running. 29 people have been killed in a blast at a coal mine in southern China. State media say there was a gas explosion at a state-owned coal mine in Henyang City in Hunan province. 5 workers were rescued while 1 climbed out of an air shaft. Hello, you're watching Sports World Have Your Say. It's been goals galore in the English Premier League this weekend. 35 in 9 games, 8 of which were scored in a sensational encounter at Stamford Bridge as Arsenal beat Chelsea 5-3. I'm pleased to say I've got Jason Roberts with me in the studio waiting to talk to you this week. Charlotte has given us a call on Skype. She is a Blackburn fan and Rob is a Chelsea fan who joins us from Cape Town as well. Welcome along, Jason. Let me start with you. Could you ever have imagined a weekend like this with so many goals? 6 in your game. I suppose you probably would have preferred 5.
Yeah, I would have took 1, just a 1-0 win would have been fine for me. But actually, there's been a lot of goals going in recently in the Premier League, and I think, you know, as there's so many good strikers and so many good goals going in, I think we're seeing a real surge in the way teams attack, and you know, it's fantastic that more goals are going in.
Do you think it's due to fabulous strikers or poor defending?
Probably a bit of both, you know, but there's no doubt it makes the Premier League look good. I think when people watch games, they watch it for the goals and for the incident. So the fact that so many goals are going in is good. I'd be happier if there wasn't so many going in against us and we were getting more wins, though.
OK, well, Daniel has sent us a message from Zambia via Facebook. Says goals have added even more excitement in the EPL today as teams seem to be aware of the value these goals could bring at the end of the season, looking at how tight the race is. Charlotte, what's your take on things?
Well, I do think that goals are important, and obviously as a fan it is nice to see your team score a lot of goals, and just the buzz that you get from goals is always nice, and if you win then it's even better, I think. So yeah.
Today, what did you think about the incident at the end and the penalty decision given against your team?
It was definitely not a penalty at all. I mean, Stephen was he couldn't move, and he wasn't even looking at the ball when the ball hit his arm. So if he wasn't looking at a ball, then how is it a penalty?
I have to say, Shah, I agree with you. I thought Blackburn, we played really well yesterday. I think we deserved the win. The deflected goal that went in really gave them the impetus to attack us a little bit more. And then the decision to give them a penalty in the last minute of extra time is one that hurt us a lot. But I hope you saw that this team were working very hard yesterday and really trying to attack and try and win the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think against Newcastle in midweek as well, the team were very together, and you can just tell that the whole team want to work hard and do well, and hopefully things will keep improving and we'll get points on the board.
Rob, let's bring you in. Chelsea lost a lead as well yesterday, but at least it was entertaining, hey?
Entertaining stuff. I wouldn't call it sensational weekend from my side, but yeah, entertaining game of football. We just seem to be leaving the defensive line a bit high and allowing gaps at the back for people to get through. John Terry slip gave the game away, I think.
Do you agree with the view that Andre Villas-Boas says he's not going to change Chelsea's philosophy?
No, absolutely. We're playing the more attacking football that Abramovich wants and he's been looking for. We just need to get our finishing better. I mean, Torres was his usual self, not finishing very well. But yeah, if we finish more regularly, like we should have done in the first 5-10 minutes, with all the chances it would be better.
Well, before we go any further, Rob, let's just have a listen to what Villas-Boas had to say after the game.
Maybe I think both teams lost a little bit of their concentration. I think this is always in the Premiership a game fueled by emotions and maybe emotions to control. We needed to be cool-blooded in that situation, and maybe we left ourselves exposed. Again, a very, very open game, like the Old Trafford game was, but with a scoreline that punishes us at home. So we'll have to reflect on the things that we did wrong and get it right for the game against Blackburn. Jason,
do you think Chelsea should be reassessing how they play?
I think it's a definite change in the way they approach games under Jose Mourinho. They're very defensive-minded, and that's where they got their success. I think obviously the owner wants them to go a different way, and you're seeing that now. I know we've just been speaking about Chelsea's finishing. The only issue is if you're going to concede 5 goals, you're asking the attackers to score 6-7 goals to win a game, and I just don't know if that's something that can be done on a regular basis.
OK, well, let's say hello to Keith. He's an Arsenal fan who's got in touch with us from Cape Town. Mr. Wenger was right all along, wasn't he?
Yeah, looks like it. 5 against Chelsea. Who can argue with Mr. Wenger at the moment? Hopefully the teams are starting to take the corner finally. Yeah, 5 against Chelsea, still speechless, didn't expect it. Robin van Persie coming through again. We're enjoying it. Had quite a bash yesterday at the pub.
What's happened, Keith? Why do you think Arsenal turned the corner?
I think the new signings just coming in, doing their thing. Arteta settling, especially in the midfield. Mertesacker as well, bringing some stability to the back. I think previously against Chelsea, you had big midfielders. You had your Essien, you had your Mikel bossing the midfield against Nasri, Fabregas. Smaller figures. I think with Alexander growing up, becoming more butch, Arteta as well, not afraid to go in with the tackles. I think they couldn't just come around, kick us off the park. We dominated the midfield. We were the more physical team, and credit to the boys.
Well, somebody who did give credit to the boys on Saturday was Arsene Wenger. Let's have a listen.
It was, I think, a great win where we have shown a bit everything you need in a top-level game. That means spirit, resolve when we were 2-1 down just before half-time, style and class in the way we played football. We were a bit, in the first half, I felt defensively, gave him too much space. In the second half, he controlled that much better. But overall, it's a great win to come here and score 5 goals. It's absolutely amazing.
Keith, Robin van Persie scored a hat-trick. How worried are you that you've got too much reliance on him?
Well, there is a factor that you do worry about. Obviously, Robin van Persie getting injured is something that's going to happen. It's more about when it's going to happen, not if. We all know, all Arsenal supporters know he gets injured. At the moment, we're not thinking about that. We're just enjoying it. As long as he's there, scoring the goals, we're winning. We're going to enjoy it while it lasts. Hopefully, he can finally come through a season unscathed. We know he'll finish as the top goal scorer if we've got him all season. And then definitely Arsenal will be in with a chance. From the other side, it's just that if he gets injured, do we have the players to back him up? I don't think so. There's lots of talk that Park could be the one to do it. We haven't seen enough of him. 2 Carling Cup games. They weren't broadcast in Cape Town, funnily enough, but 2 Carling Cup games, I don't think that's enough to rate the guy yet. I'd like Mr. Wenger to just buy a world-class striker more than a defender at the moment, just as backup for Van Persie.
Jason, in terms of strikers scoring all the goals for a team, how much will Robin van Persie be feeling the pressure, but how much will he be enjoying it?
Yeah, I think as a striker, you want your team to depend on you to score the goals. There's no doubt that Robin van Persie is one of the best strikers, if not the Premiership in the world, on this form at the moment. The only issue that's been said is his injury worries, and of course that's not something you can do much about. He's one of these players that just tends to get injuries, but there's no doubt that he is a very, very important player for Arsenal, and if they lose him, whether it be out of form or through injury, it could be a huge problem for them.
Lots of focus on strikers, but lots of goals going in. Let's say hello to Randy, a Chelsea fan who joins us on the phone. How worried are you about how many goals Chelsea have been conceding, Randy?
Well, I have to, I wish I could come up with an excuse. If you'd have called after the QPR game, I could have come up with all sorts of excuses. But after watching the Arsenal game, it's hard to come up with any excuse. And as everybody knows, they've been conceding goals even in the games they've won. So I'm not quite sure what the answer is, but definitely to give up 5, and if you at home, that's pretty unacceptable.
Do you think there's a problem with defenders not being sexy enough? Young children coming up not necessarily wanting to be defenders. They want to be strikers, don't they?
Well, when I look at those, I guess if I have it the right number, the 4th goal where there's 4 people around and the Arsenal player goes down, nobody makes a move for the ball and gets back up and he scores. I'm not sure what they're thinking.
Jason, have you got a view on that in terms of the problem with defending in this country at the moment?
Well, I think there's no doubt that the best teams defend the best. Barcelona are one of the best teams going forward because they're so well-shaped defensively. And I think you look at Man United last year, they've won it because they had such a solid defence. I think Chelsea under Mourinho had such a fantastic defensive shape with Makelele in there. That's what led them to be strong. So I also think this year, the team that wins the league will be the team with the best defence. And I think that won't change.
What about the view of Sir Alex Ferguson saying we know that basically goal difference is going to be useful come the end of the season? Is that the reason people are attacking more, seemingly throwing the rule book out the window?
I think the game is always changing. I think this season we're seeing people be a little bit more forward-thinking. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, it was more sort of, can we keep this defensive shape? Can we win games 1-0? I think now people are going out there trying to blast the opposition out and trying to score more goals. It can only be positive for the viewers. Not so good for my heart rate, but I think it's great for everybody to watch.
Well, Hussein Al Ali has got in touch with us on Facebook saying football isn't only about getting the 3 points, it's also about entertainment, which is the whole purpose of the game to begin with. What do you think about that? Please do get in touch with us. Maybe give us a call, country code 442070 83 73 33. But of course, despite the fabulous game at Stamford Bridge yesterday, there was a big shadow over the game, with the undercurrent of the ugly issue of racism hanging over the Chelsea captain John Terry, who is of course being investigated for alleged racist comments to QPR's Anton Ferdinand last weekend. How big a problem do you think racism is in football on the pitch? Please do get in touch. We're going to be talking about it in just a couple of minutes here on Sports World. Have your say. Hi, you're watching Sports World. Have your say. We've been talking goals galore in the English Premier League this weekend, but sadly, once again, there was an undercurrent to play this weekend, particularly to the game at Stamford Bridge, the ugly issue of racism. Disappointing to be talking about once again right here on Sports World. Have your say. The Chelsea captain John Terry being investigated by the FA and police over claims he made racist comments to QPR's Anton Ferdinand. Terry does deny he did anything wrong. I've got Blackburn's Jason Roberts with me in the studio this week. We're also joined by Trevor Benjamin. He of 350 appearances in the Football League. He's also a spokesperson for the Show Racism the Red Card campaign. I've also got Rob, who is a Chelsea fan, who joins us on Skype from Cape Town. And I'm slightly embarrassed to be talking about an article that was written this week in one of Britain's best-selling newspapers, the Daily Mail, an article written by Steve Doughty. It's slightly awful to be giving it airtime, Jason, but I don't know whether you actually saw it.
Yes, I did actually see it, and I have a quote here. So, Mr. Evra and Mr. Ferdinand, I know you feel insulted, but perhaps in this case, you could just put up with it and get on with the game. In my opinion, it's this dated view that we need to really work really hard to make sure that we stop racism in football and in society.
Trevor, what was your reaction to that?
I totally disagree on that. I think we've got to make people aware and understand about racism.
Trevor, you know, we've played against each other and we never played with each other, but certainly against each other. When was your first experience of racism?
It was my experiences when I was at Leicester. We played Red Star Belgrave in the UEFA Cup, and I was running down a line, and I've heard monkey chances at me, and I was like, hold on a minute, what's that all about? Why that? Where did that come from? I'm a black person playing football. That's all I want to do, and all I love doing.
Yeah. What do you think should be done in terms of if any player is caught doing any racist actions on the pitch? What do you think should be their punishment?
I don't like really punishing people too much, because obviously everyone loves playing football and so on and so forth. But as well as, you've got to make them aware and understand that racism is a big thing. Do you know what I mean? And being racist against black, white, whatever colour you are, it's a big thing. And punishment, probably, obviously, I think the punishment now is. I'm not sure if there is one, to be honest. I don't even know if there is one.
Well, we spoke about earlier whether it has actually been proven that people have been racist on the pitch and what has happened. From my point of view, a 4-game ban is enough. I think the main thing is the education, the fact that it's not accepted on the pitch. And I've had it in my career, and I know you have. I know you had an incident at Morpeth recently. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, basically I was player manager at the time, and we was losing, so I put myself on, and it was a corner coming in, so I backed myself into the goalkeeper, and for some reason he just started shouting at you, black this and black that. I can't say obviously on radio what else he said, but it was a shocking, and the feeling, I probably felt the same way as Anton's feeling as he felt at that time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
we're going to continue this conversation later. I just want to go across to Anton's cousin, Les Ferdinand, who's voiced his views.
We've had this conversation and we've had these problems for a number of years now. Every so often it rears its ugly head. And I think the people that are in a position to do something about it never actually act upon it. They seem to take a stance that, we've seen clubs in the past that have, their supporters have shouted racist abuse, and we all come out of the woodwork and say it's not acceptable, but nothing's done about it. So it shows these people that it is acceptable. Until the people that are empowered are able to and take on doing something about it, we'll continue to have these problems.
Jason, who do you think should be responsible for this?
Well, certainly the FA, the Premier League, or whatever league, whether it be in the Football League. I think they got to look at this situation and make sure that the education's correct, that this is not acceptable. If anyone's found guilty of racially abusing someone on the pitch, then I think we need to hit them with the hardest possible sanctions. We also have to have a look at the issue that happens off the pitch as well, because I think that's something that's gone under the radar a lot, in that fans will be chanting stuff and doing stuff. It has got so much better, but there is still an issue where racist and homophobic and just vile abuse is aimed at players.
Have you been disappointed with Chelsea's reaction to this and Andre Villas-Boas's reaction to this? Surely he should have called for an investigation.
Well, I think obviously John Terry is innocent until proven guilty, but certainly from Chelsea's point of view, you would have thought they would have done their own internal investigation. They have a number of black players themselves, and they have a reputation for doing a lot of good work in the community. So I'm surprised that Chelsea aren't launching their own investigation to get to the bottom of this.
Rob, as a Chelsea fan, do you stand by your player?
Absolutely. I feel that, firstly, if John Terry, he hasn't admitted any guilt, and if there had been a problem with him being a racist, surely previously it would have been noticed. Surely by now you would have had ex-black players from Chelsea coming out in the press saying that this has been a previous problem, but there's been nothing of the sort. He describes it as a total misunderstanding, and I think that's all it is. Just that the press seem to blow everything totally out of proportion. Obviously, if it is a racist issue, you should look into it. But from what I feel and from what I've seen, I honestly don't think that that's John's character at all. Well, because it's alleged that he made this comment, it doesn't mean that he could potentially be a racist who goes into training and says anything. It might be a one-off occasion, but even with a one-off occasion, it's something that can't be accepted. What do you think, Trevor?
I agree. You should kind of understand and realise what you're saying and what comes out your mouth, because your words are powerful. What comes out your mouth. So and it can hurt and destroy if he did say it and that was the case.
Yeah, Bafo Sambo has got in touch with us on Facebook saying the issue of racism is never taken seriously by UEFA because black players are facing it all across Europe, but the culprits only escape with a fine of a token amount. And I bet you this will not be an exception. What do you think? What should be an appropriate punishment for racist remarks on the football pitch? Please do get in touch. Sir Alex Ferguson, the Manchester United manager, says it's the FA's responsibility to sort it out. Says, I can't believe there's any sort of issue over race in the game, given the number of black players who take